Hello and welcome, I'm Sonicguru and welcome to a new and potential future series focusing on the facts and popular fan theories surrounding the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise. To start off, let's take a look at the mysterious Nazo the Hedgehog. Nazo's first and only appearance was in the pilot trailer for Sonic X. He appeared briefly before the trailer faded out to showcase the show's characters. Nazo appears to be a glowing, pale greyish-blue hedgehog similar to that of Sonic's super form, but with larger back spikes and green eyes. His name, Nazo, comes from an image which was released at the same time as the trailer, with the file name nazo.jpg. This may not be a name, but instead a case of speculation, as Nazo means mystery in Japan. Throughout the 78 episodes of the show, this character did not make an appearance, nor has Sega given any actual information about him. Many fan-fueled theories and speculations have risen about the mysterious Nazo. The most accepted theory is that Nazo could have been a scrapped hyperform of Sonic, which has not been seen since Sonic 3 and Knuckles in 1994. Another theory suggests that Nazo could have potentially been a villain in the show and has sparked countless fanfictions and fan art. The most popular of which is Chaka X's 3-part flash animation Nazo Unleashed, where Nazo is an accumulation of negative chaos energy and seeks to be the most powerful being, similar to the likes of Cell in Dragon Ball Z. Though we may never know who or what Nazo is or could have potentially been, he is kept alive by the fan community. Hello, I'm Sonicguru and welcome to another episode of Blue Blur Facts and Theories. Today we're taking a look at one of the most conspiracy-driven backstories in the Sonic universe. No, it's not Shadows, this is just confusing. Instead, it's a character that has two completely different backstories. I am of course talking about Blaze the Cat. Blaze the Cat was first introduced in Sonic Rush for Nintendo DS. In her side of the game's story, we learn that she is a princess from another dimension, where she's also the guardian of the Soul Emeralds. Because of this, she withdrew herself from others and she ended up living a very isolated life, as she followed her duty. Without accepting any real friends, she came to believe that she never had to rely on anyone else but herself, which often led to her carrying the weight of the world on her own shoulders. In the final story of the game, Sonic told her that the true power of the Chaos and Soul Emeralds came from people's friendship and encouraged her to open up to people and recognize the friends she made on her journey, namely Cream. Finally appreciating the value of friendship and the need to accept help from others, Blaze began to realize the true power of the Soul Emeralds, recharging them and for the first time used their power to transform into Burning Blaze. A year later, she was reintroduced in Sonic the Hedgehog for Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. Here, Blaze lives 200 more years into the future and is a friend of Silver the Hedgehog. At the end of Silver's story, he tries to seal Iblis inside his soul, but the Flames of Disaster won't accept him as a vessel. Blaze ends up sealing Iblis inside her soul and begs Silver to use Chaos Control to seal them in another dimension. Silver refuses because he could never do that to her. Blaze performs the deed herself and floats into the sky and disappears. Later on, Sonic and the others destroy Solaris in all existing timelines, which eventually led to the events of the game erased from history, meaning Blaze still exists, but Blaze and Silver's meeting never existed itself. However, the next game she appeared in was a direct sequel to Sonic Rush Adventure, only instead of Blaze coming to the Chaos Dimension, Sonic and Tails arrive in the Soul Dimension. There have been many theories as to why Blaze has appeared in both the future and another dimension. I have picked out the two most accepted theories. 1. Sonic 06 is a sequel to Sonic Rush. Some fans speculate that Blaze was sent to the Chaos Dimension by the Soul Emeralds, but was sent into the future and met with Silver. Unable to find a way back home, she decided to stay with Silver and help him to stop Iblis. At the end of Silver's story, she seals Iblis inside of her and disappears into another dimension, which sends her back home. And 2. Sonic 06 is a prequel to Sonic Rush. At the end of Silver's story, she seals Iblis inside of her and disappears in another dimension. This implies she was sent to the Soul Dimension and after the events with Solaris, rewrote her life and became a princess and guardian of the Soul Emeralds in that dimension. Both of these are plausible theories, but many, including myself, tend to write the events of Sonic 06 off as non-canon because of the game's ending erasing all events, as well as the critical response of the game itself. It should be noted, however, that Sonic 06 was intended to be a reboot to the series, which explains why some of the characters' interactions don't make any sense, and why Blaze is written in as a childhood friend of Silver's, as she was teased as a child and he was the only one to accept her. But this does not answer as to why she vaguely knows who Sonic is. But in Sonic Colors on Nintendo DS, Silver and Blaze partner up to fight off Orbot and Cubot. They say that they both work together well and say that it seems like they've worked together some time before. Tails comments that Silver and Blaze could have worked together at some point in time. Also, in Sonic Generations, after clearing the mission Blaze Piercing the Flames, Blaze will say afterward,
"I thought I would never be in Crisis City again,"
linking both Sonic 06 and Rush together, but both instances can be written off as Easter eggs or the writers having fun with the lore. And finally, at Sonic Boom 2012, Takashi Iizuka confirmed that Blaze is in fact a native of the Soul Dimension and not the future. Hello, I'm Sonicguru and welcome to another episode of Blue Blur Facts and Theories. This time we're taking a look at something that not only has fans guessing, but has several interpretations in official media. When did Tails meet Sonic? Miles Tails Prower was first introduced in Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for the Sega Mega Drive as Sonic's sidekick. He was created by Yasushi Yamaguchi, who was the main artist and level designer, for an internal contest held at Sega Technical Institute. He first submitted Ray the Flying Squirrel but was rejected. He later submitted Miles Prower, a Tanuki character, which won but was asked to change into a fox to avoid copyright with Nintendo. After another struggle with Sega regarding the name Miles Prower, they compromised and had Tails be his nickname. He debuted in Sonic 2 as Sonic's tag-along partner. Aside from being able to spin dash, he could also use his namesake to fly as well as keep up with Sonic. Since then, he has appeared in nearly every game as a playable or supporting character. The history of how Tails came to be with Sonic is seen in the game's instruction manual. One day while walking around alone, Tails was taken by surprise when Sonic the Hedgehog ran past him. Seeing Sonic run like the wind made Tails greatly admire him for how cool he was, and he had a change of heart. He then resolved to become as cool as Sonic and began following him around. However, Tails was too shy to show himself to Sonic and hid in the trees' shadows whenever Sonic tried to see him for them to continue following him. Though Sonic ignored him, Tails still followed him and eventually earned his attention by keeping up with his speed. During an early afternoon, Tails discovered Sonic's biplane, the Tornado, on the beach. Fascinated by the craft, Tails began investigating it, but then shyly pulled back when he saw Sonic napping under its wing. As he then went to investigate the tornado's other side, however, an explosion erupted from the woods, forcing Tails to seek shelter under the tornado before he was blown away. There he saw the destruction of the island and Badnik sticking in the ground. As the explosions continued, Tails discovered Sonic standing by him before the Hedgehog and ran into the attack, while Tails reflectively followed him. Arriving in the Inferno, Tails and Sonic discovered that it was Sonic's arch-enemy Dr. Robotnik who was behind this. The Doctor had arrived on West Side Island where he turned the animals into badniks to find the Chaos Emeralds, which were currently on the island, so he could create the Death Egg to conquer the world. Tails and Sonic then teamed up to find the Chaos Emeralds first and save the island. Depending on where you look, there are many variants to this story. The one I just told you was a trimmed down version from the Japanese instruction booklet. This is the story that has been adopted worldwide and was later referenced in Sonic Adventure in a flashback. The flashback was also brought up in Sonic X, where Tails was bullied because of his twin tails. After meeting Sonic and finding the tornado, he rebuilt and repainted it blue, Sonic stating he never liked it red. In the English instruction booklet, however, this was rewritten. Sonic had been Tails' hero ever since he was a cub. After following his hero relentlessly for a long time, Tails became fast enough to keep up with Sonic by spinning his twin tails like a propeller, which also gave the fox's ability to fly. One day, Sonic was showing off his super spin attack to his friends when Tails took a running start, curled up and was spinning like Sonic. Eventually Sonic and Tails became best friends. However, in other media, both the Japanese and English stories were completely disregarded. In the flashback shown in Adventure Sonic the Hedgehog episode Tails' New Home, Tails literally landed on top of Sonic. The baby fox cub explains to Sonic that he had just been kicked out of a nest of some birds. Young Tails decided that he was a bird due to his ability to fly. Sonic tells him he is in fact a fox and is shocked to see that he can actually fly. Baby Tails follows Sonic and after getting into some mishaps, Sonic agrees that he can stay with him. Sonic gives him the name Tails after Tails explains that he hates his real name Miles. In the Archie Sonic the Hedgehog comics, Miles, son of Amadeus and Rosemary Prower, was born on the day Robotnik took control. He was sent to Knothole along with the orphan children, where he was raised by Rosie and later Sally, who he looks up to as an aunt. During this time, Sonic and Tails grew a brotherly bond and gave him the idea to spin his tails in order to fly. And finally, in the UK Sonic the Comic, Sonic saved Tails from drowning in the swamp. They first met when he saw two tails peering from the swamp. Mistakenly believing there were two foxes in the swamp, Sonic only had time to grab one and believed the other fox had drowned. He soon realised that both tails belonged to the same fox. Aside from official media, there are many fan fictions, comics as well as fan games rewriting and expanding the origin of how these two heroes met. Though the Japanese version has been regarded as the true story, with the Archie comics coming as a close second, across all media, this brotherly duo has stuck by each other to this very day. Hello and welcome, I'm Sonicguru, and welcome to another episode of Blue Blur Facts and Theories. This time we're taking a look at something that has never really been explained. Just what was that power Marine used?
Can't wait for a new adventure. La 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 la. A new adventure. La la.
In 2007, Sega released Sonic Rush Adventure for Nintendo DS, a direct sequel to Sonic Rush. This game introduced another face to the cast of colourful characters, Marine the Raccoon, a scatterbrain of sorts who speaks an Australian accent with a love for the ocean. Marine grew up on Southern Island along with the Coconut Crew, dreaming of becoming the captain of her own ship and crew and sailing across the world. After 7 years, she had enough and began attempting to build her own ship. She eventually wrecks her ship, the SS Marine, by forgetting to install the brakes. When Sonic and Tails crash on Southern Island, they decide to help her repair her ship and build more ships in order to get off the island. Unfortunately, Marine and her newfound friends found themselves confronted by a dangerous menace, the pirate Captain Whisker, who was after the Dual Scepter, where they encountered Blaze and realised that Sonic and Tails had been brought to the Soul Dimension. At the end of the game, Marine is shown to have some sort of special power. During the final boss fight, she is seen shooting a light green ball of energy from her fist that knocks the Egg Wizard around a little, which suggests that there's some sort of great power to this ability, and allows Super Sonic and Burning Blaze to finish it off. The reason as to why or what this power that Marine possesses has never been explained, as this was the only game to star her outside of brief cameos and references. Many have assumed that this is a water-type ability dubbed Hydrokinesis, similar to that of Blaze's Pyrokinesis. This could very well be an untapped ability due to her childish personality and wanting to prove herself to others, while she herself is skeptical of her own talents. There have been some fanfictions and fan art of her developing these powers over the months or years in order to fight alongside Blaze, Sonic and the others, while others have disregarded this ability altogether. But besides all that, Marine has not set well with the fan community, many hating her for her personality as well as citing her as a useless addition to an already large cast of characters, while others, including the Archie comics, have welcomed her and developed her as Blaze's sidekick in order to find the Soul Emeralds. Though it has never been mentioned or shown again, Marine's hidden ability could one day be the start of a new adventure for the aspiring captain.
Hello and welcome, I'm Star and welcome to another episode of Blue Blur. This time we're taking a look into something that, like before, does not have a lot of answers behind it. Who is the Eggman? From the very beginning, we know very little about Dr. Ivo Eggman Robotnik, apart from that he's an evil scientist who captured animals to power his army of robots and find the Chaos Emeralds in order to take over the world. It wasn't until 10 years later in Sonic Adventure 2 where we finally get some insight to his heritage with Professor Gerald Robotnik, who he looked up to and was inspired to follow his own career in science. What seems like tradition, it would be another 10 years in Sonic Generations where Robotnik converses with his future self about going back and getting his teaching degree, which we can all assume is in the field of science and robotics. When Sonic the Hedgehog was released in 1991, Sega of America developed an origin story for Sonic the Hedgehog and Dr. Robotnik, which diverged from the backstories created by Sonic Team and was adapted into the plot of the UK's Sonic the Comic. In this backstory set on the planet Mobius, Dr. Ivo Robotnik was originally a benevolent scientist named Dr. Ovi Kintobor, a friend to Sonic who helped to develop the Hedgehog superspeed. With the use of the retro-orbital chaos compressor, which was used to gather the negative energy on Mobius, he accidentally turned Sonic blue. Sonic used his new speed to help search for the Grey Emerald, which was said to serve as a control emerald, which would stabilize the energy transfer. Their efforts were in vain, but Kintobor eventually apparently discovered a way to complete the transfer without the 7th emerald. Before the process was initiated, they decided to have lunch, but found only one rotten egg. With the egg in his hand, Kintobor went back to the ROCC and tripped on a cable. The ROCC exploded, bathing Kintobor and the egg in negative energy. Overloaded with pure evil energy, he transformed into the demented Dr. Ivo Robotnik. In a bizarre twist in a later story arc involving the Brotherhood of Metallics who traveled back in time to stop the creation of Robotnik and rule Mobius, Sonic and the Chaotix traveled to that point in time and by their hands forced Kintobor to become the mad scientist. The Sonic Sat AM cartoon in Archie Comics had a different tale to tell. Robotnik was originally named Julian Robotnik. He was a brilliant yet power-hungry scientist within the Overlander community until his twisted experiments landed him in prison. He managed to escape, forced to flee for his life, and seek sanctuary among his people's sworn enemies, the Mobians. In exchange for his safety, Robotnik offered his services to Mobian King Maximilian Acorn, providing tactical information and decisive military leadership to bring an end to the Great War and drive the Overlanders off Mobius altogether. During the war, he discovered the plans of the roboticizer from Charles Hedgehog, who originally had positive intent for the device. Noting its potential use, Julian stole the plans. Shortly afterwards, Robotnik made his move and constructed mass robotic armies to lead a successful coup against the kingdom, overthrowing the monarchy, banishing the king into the Zone of Silence, and becoming the tyrannical and despotic dictator ruler of Mobius for 10 years. Eventually, Robotnik's efforts to pacify the freedom fighter groups on Mobius led him to become obsessed with defeating the greatest of their number, Sonic the Hedgehog. There aren't many theories as to who Eggman is, as many have adapted the Kintobor or Archie's Robotnik origins. With what little information available, another theory has been devised. Dr. Ivo Robotnik was a leading scientist among others and taught students in the fields of science and robotics. One day, he and his fellow scientists were tasked to discover new and alternative energy sources. The possibilities of using the Chaos Emeralds were discussed, but locating them was out of the question. Even if they found them, the resulting energy transfer would be too unstable. This perked Robotnik's interest in the fabled gems, but agreed they would find alternative sources. During his research, he discovered that small animals and critters' life energy could be harnessed and used to power machines. He designed and engineered a robot powered by a flicky and presented it to his peers. While they were initially impressed that life energy could be used and function a machine, it was deemed highly unethical and demanded that Robotnik halt all research on it. Not being one to be told what to do, he continued his research in secret while also cross-referencing the potential locations of the emeralds. Unfortunately, he was discovered and had his teaching degree revoked. Shamed and humiliated by his peers, he went into hiding where he amassed an army of robots using the same technology he created and became obsessed with finding the Chaos Emeralds in order to harness their power and rule above all those who got in his way. Eventually, his findings led him to South Island, where he encountered Sonic the Hedgehog. Though this is merely speculation, it does reflect on Eggman's controlling nature and desire to find new sources of energy to fuel his dream empire. Many choose to believe the Archie story or the Kintobor origins, such as Eddie LeBron's Sonic fan film. Again, this is from little information available from the games. Despite all of this, he is and will be the ruthless evil scientist we all love to hate.
Hello and happy Halloween. I'm Sonicguru and welcome to another episode of Blue Blur. This time we're taking a dive into creepypasta territory and discover the roots of the infamously terrifying Tails doll. The Tails doll was first introduced in Sonic R for the Sega Saturn as an unlockable character. To do so, you must collect the 5 tokens in Radical City and finish in at least 3rd place, after which you must race against Tails doll alone and win. The doll is a crude imitation of the real Tails. Powered by a machine in its head with an extruding red dual antenna, Eggman manufactured this to catch Sonic unprepared. It is a mere stuffed animal, whose meagre form exhibits considerable ability in races due to its lightweight design. Later in Sonic Adventure, there are doll versions of Tails as well as Sonic and Knuckles used as tiger practice dummies for E102 Gamma in Final Egg. Though they share the same name, they appear incapable of moving on their own as the original Tails doll can. Finally, the Tails doll made its way into the Archie comics. Also known as Project Deadly Cuddles, it was a robot sent into New Mobotropolis by Dr. Eggman. During Titan Metal Sonic's assault on the city, Cream saw the doll and assumed that it had an owner who dropped it in the assault, and so took it with her in an attempt to find whoever owned it, unaware that it was sent by Eggman. The Tails doll acted as both a spy and a saboteur for Eggman, as it was able to disrupt the nanites which destroyed the shield generator in order to disable the force field and let Eggman's forces inside, and later did so again in an attempt to kill Nina. Realising that the doll was a culprit of the nanite interference due to always disappearing whenever the trouble started, Cream and Vanilla faked leaving the doll alone after it was brought home by Cheese. The Tails doll left the house as it believed that no one was around. It was then stopped by Team Freedom and Nicole. Tails doll began revealing its objectives and transformed into a bio-lizard-like monster as it finished its self-repairs. After the events of the Sonic Mega Man crossover When Worlds Collide, the Tails doll was shifted to Castle Acorn. There it was encountered by Sonic and Tails. It was defeated when its control gem was removed and its body was kicked into the horizon. Tails doll is infamous among Sonic fans for his scary profile. From this, a ghost story, or creepypasta if you will, was formed known as the Tails doll curse. There are several ways to activate the curse or summon the Tails doll, such as the bathroom curse, where you listen to Can You Feel the Sunshine and Living in the City in reverse at 11 PM, where he'll offer you to be his servant. Or the picture curse, where you must draw the Tails doll as accurate as you can, where he'll stalk you, causing paranoia, leaving notes, and eventually kill you or a loved one. The most common way is to play Sonic R, as it is the gateway for the doll, and complete it 100%. Then, play as Tails doll in tag mode, and tag Metal Sonic, Metal Knuckles, Egg Robo, and tag Super Sonic last. The screen will show the Tails doll on a red checkered floor. If done right, you may see a red light. Do not go near it, it is the Tails doll. From here, it will either curse you, or worse, kill you. To prove to you all that this is nothing but fiction, I have tested messaged myself and... The fuck? Shit. Power's gone out. Oh well. It's really coincidence. I kept doing the trying to the Tails doll curse and... God, what the fuck am I thinking of? Of course I didn't realize with the power break, so... Can't be too serious.
Can you feel the sunshine?
No. You gotta be real. Lady. Fuck. That did not just happen. That did. Fuck. Can you feel the sunshine? I can. Oh no. No!
Hello and welcome. I'm Matt, the owner of Tails Channel, and welcome to another episode of Blue Blur. This time we're diving into the creation and history of the greatest power source on the planet, the Master Emerald. Master Emerald is a massive, mysterious gem, held on Angel Island and guarded by Knuckles the Echidna. It is possibly the single most powerful object in the Sonic universe, and, as such, has been embroiled in numerous plots by Dr. Ivo Eggman Robotnik, and other villains seeking to harness the crystal for their own nefarious ends. The Master Emerald was first introduced in Sonic & Knuckles for the Mega Drive, or the Genesis in America, in the Hidden Palace, and was used to create the Super Emeralds from the Chaos Emeralds if the player connected Sonic 3 and collected the emeralds before reaching Mushroom Hill. It would later be stolen from its altar by Dr. Robotnik to power his Death Egg and the giant Eggman Robo. It was retrieved by Sonic after Robotnik tried escaping with it following the destruction of the Death Egg, and was returned to Angel Island. In Knuckles' story, which occurs after Sonic or Tails, the Master Emerald is once again stolen, this time by one of Eggman's remaining badniks, the Egg Robo, and lead him to the Sky Sanctuary, where he encountered a still active Mecha Sonic. Mecha Sonic used the Master Emerald to turn into a super-like state. Super Mecha Sonic was defeated anyway, as Mecha Sonic occasionally had to go back to the Emerald to recharge. As soon as Knuckles defeated Mecha Sonic, the Sanctuary crumbled, but Sonic appeared in his biplane to save Knuckles and the Master Emerald, and it was once again brought back to Angel Island. Both stories had alternate endings depending on whether all the Chaos Emeralds were collected, which either elevated or returned the island to the ocean. The Master Emerald appeared later in Sonic Adventure for the Sega Dreamcast, where it was again shown keeping Angel Island afloat, but played a major part in the game's overall story. The Emerald hid within it the ancient monster known as Chaos, along with a female echidna named Tikal. In Knuckles' story arc, he tracks down the scattered shards of the Master Emerald after being shattered by Eggman in order to release Chaos, causing Angel Island to fall. All the pieces of the Master Emerald are eventually restored, though Angel Island cannot rise long without Chaos sealed inside. It was revealed that 4,000 years ago, the tribe of Echidnas had tried to seal the Master Emerald along with the Chaos Emeralds in order to obtain unlimited power. Tikal, who had befriended the Chow and their guardian Chaos, pleaded with them not to follow through with it, but her cries fell on deaf ears as the army of Echidnas charged through her and the Chow. Chaos appeared and absorbed the Chaos Emeralds, destroying most of the tribe and the land in a fit of rage. In order to stop him, Tikal pleaded with the Master Emerald to stop Chaos. The Emerald then absorbed both Chaos and Tikal into itself, and continued to surge energy into a large part of the continent, making it float into the air with the remaining Echidnas, producing what now is Angel Island. An additional power of the Master Emerald is showcased. A nearly complete Master Emerald shows Knuckles where its remaining shards are, by creating three-dimensional holographic images within itself after Knuckles ponders aloud where they could be. The Master Emerald was again a source of conflict in Sonic Adventure 2, as Knuckles fought with Rouge the Bat for possession of it before Eggman tried to steal it. To stop the Doctor, Knuckles voluntarily shattered the Emerald in order to keep it out of his hands. Knuckles and Rouge then set off separately to gather the shards of the Emerald for their own reasons. In Sonic Adventure 2's last story, when Space Colony Arc starts to fall, Knuckles used the Master Emerald in the cannon's core, which resembled the Emerald Shrine on Angel Island, to negate the Chaos Emerald's power. Another ability of the Master Emerald is firmly demonstrated in Sonic Adventure 2 after Knuckles restores the Master Emerald. He is able to shrink it down to the size of his hand and restore it to its full size. This may explain its shift in size between games. On the handheld front, the Master Emerald is seen in Sonic Advance 3 in the zone Altar Emerald, where the boss fight takes place at the base of its shrine. The Master Emerald apparently has the ability to reunite the 7 separated pieces of the planet, reversing the effects of Dr. Eggman's worldwide chaos control. A similar event happened in Sonic Unleashed, but it was in order to awaken Dark Gaia. One can assume that the Master Emerald couldn't bring the planet back together again without the power of the 7 Chaos Emeralds, which were rendered useless thanks to Eggman. In Sonic Rivals Eggman Nega, masquerading as Eggman, stole the Master Emerald and used a special camera to turn it into a card, forcing Knuckles to find him and get it back. The game also stated that the Master Emerald exists in all moments in time, all at once. So when Eggman Nega transformed the Emerald into a card in one moment in time, it disappeared from all other timelines. The Emerald goes missing once again in Sonic Rivals 2, forcing Knuckles' hand in the story. The situation also causes the team up of Knuckles and Rouge. At the end of the game, the heroes find out that they were in possession of the jewel the entire time, as it was sealed within the Chaos Emerald detector they stole from Eggman Nega, demonstrating again its ability to change size. And finally, in Sonic Chronicles The Dark Brotherhood, Imperator Ix, leader of the Nocturus clan of Echidnas, orchestrated the theft of all 7 Chaos Emeralds and the Master Emerald, and used it to create a gateway to the Twilight Cage, and a deadly scheme to break the Nocturus clan out and conquer the world. As you can see, the Master Emerald has been the main focus or plot device, mainly for Knuckles in a large selection of games. There are other instances where it has been mentioned or used for a brief moment, such as in Sonic Battle, but as you know, this is not the only continuity. In the Archie comics, the Brotherhood of Guardians is a group of Echidnas in charge of protecting Angel Island. Knuckles is a descendant from these Echidnas and is now the guardian of the island and protector of a distinct set of Chaos Emeralds. When Mammoth Mogul stole the power of the 11 Chaos Emeralds from the super being Enerjack, he transported Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles to an alternate zone. They managed to escape the zone, however, transforming into their super forms. With their combined powers along with the help of Altair and the Brotherhood of Guardians, Master Mogul's powers were utilized and transformed the 14 Chaos Emeralds into a single Master Emerald, with Mogul trapped within. Due to misconceptions made in the early days of the comic, history and events surrounding the Master Emerald differ greatly from those seen in the game series. As such, many changes had to be made in order to adapt them into the comics. However, with the recent reboot in issue 252, it seems that this is not the case anymore, and the events of the game seem to be canon. And finally, in Sonic the Comic, the Master Emerald is not an 8th Emerald, separate from the main group of the 7, but is rather the green Chaos Emerald of the group of the 7 at the peak of its power. While it's the most powerful emerald, it does not have any particular powers of control over the others, this role being filled by the Grey Emerald. In a later story arc, the original Master Emerald was destroyed and its power absorbed by a robot under the command of Dr. Zachary. The robot's severed head acted as a substitute until Knuckles constructed a new emerald and transferred the robot's absorbed chaos energy into it. Though we may not know the current events and some history regarding the Master Emerald, we still do not know its creation, the events leading up to the Greedo Knuckles tribe, and from then, its eventually rediscovery by Dr. Robotnik. Join us next time where we theorize the Master Emerald's missing history.
Though we may know the Master Emerald's earliest points in history to today's recent events, there are still large gaps that have yet to be revealed. Using what knowledge there is and utilize the lore of other titles, we have devised our own theory. In the beginning, Gaia created the planet. As life began to flourish, Gaia internally struggled against its dark self. Unable to hold the planet together, it shattered and thus split Gaia into two beings, light and dark. While Dark Gaia went on a rampage, Light Gaia used its now pure energy to create the Chaos Emeralds. Subduing his dark twin, he trapped them both within the core of the planet, and the Chaos Emeralds were used to lock the planet together. With the planet safe from destruction, the natives built temples to house the sacred gems. As time passed, tribes and clans formed and war broke out between them. Seeking power and dominance over each other, some learned of the fabled gems and stormed the temples, seeking out the emeralds in an effort to suppress and destroy their enemies. Fearing the negative use of the emeralds would wake his dark counterpart, Light Gaia instructed the purest of all forms, the Chow, to help craft an emerald that could negate the power of the Chaos Emeralds. This emerald would later be called the Master Emerald. Once the emeralds were rendered useless to the clan leaders, the Chow then searched the globe for the gems and brought them back to the newly created altar that would house the 8 emeralds. Not wanting history to repeat itself, Light Gaia appointed a guardian, the highest of all form of Chow, Chaos. Centuries passed until the war between the Echidna tribes, Knuckles, and Nocturnus began, both wanting supreme dominance over the planet. The Nocturnus clan were more technologically advanced compared to the more primitive tribe led by Pachacamac. In a supposed act of desperation in the face of his clan's destruction at the hands of the Nocturnus, Pachacamac sought to steal the Chaos Emeralds and the Master Emerald from the altar by force, believing they were the keys to the Knuckles clan's survival and continued victories. Tikal, however, who had come to befriend the Chow and their guardian Chaos, who lived at the altar, pleaded with him not to go through with this plan. However, her pleas fell on deaf ears. The tribe forced their way past the Chow, prompting their guardian Chaos to appear and absorb the Chaos Emeralds, destroying most of the Knuckles tribe and the land in a fit of rage. In order to stop him, Tikal pleaded with the Master Emerald to stop Chaos. The Emerald then absorbed both Chaos and Tikal into itself and continued to surge energy into a large part of the continent, making it float into the air with the remaining Echidnas. Once the island was far from any mainland, it remained there suspended above the ocean where the Chaos Emeralds dispersed across the planet. The surviving members of the Knuckles clan, who now know the power of the Emerald and what its sealed guardian could do, abandoned their old traditions and became the Brotherhood of Guardians, who devoted themselves to protect the Master Emerald to ensure Chaos would never again be released. They moved the emerald from its outside altar to a newly constructed palace hidden within the island itself and tried rebuilding their civilization on the island. One night, an Echidna had a premonition and created a mural to warn all ancestors of its forthcoming. A glowing golden hedgehog will stop a giant egg-shaped monstrosity from taking the Master Emerald. On the surface below, stories about the island's creation arose, naming it Angel Island and saying that the gods arrived after the incident with perfect chaos, removing the territory as an island and hoisted it into the sky, isolating the Master Emerald from the world. Over the centuries, the Brotherhood of Guardians went into terminal decline as the members began to die out, some of whom left the island to see the outside world. During this time, a new organization formed on the planet, the Guardian Units of Nations. Under the orders of the then president, helped funded the space program into constructing the space colony Ark. Concerned on how to power such a large station, Professor Gerald Robotnik and his fellow scientists searched any and all potential sources of energy. This led him to the Chaos Emeralds and their history. Gunn searched the planet for the gems but only came back with one, while Gerald and a small team of troops and researchers went to Angel Island to research the altar. Gunn was instantly met with hostility from the Guardian Echidnas, who fled to a safe distance once the soldiers started shooting. Though Gerald and the researchers preferred not to harm anything living on the island, researching the altar was their priority. After Gerald got the details and analysis he needed, he and Gunn left the island quickly and restricted any other aircraft from going near Angel Island. For the next several decades, the Echidnas declined until a few were left who gave birth to a male red Echidna bearing the mark of their ancestors. They named him Knuckles. Unfortunately, his parents were taken from him at a young age, but not before he was told his purpose was to guard the Master Emerald. Young, alone, and not knowing the real reason why he was chosen as the Guardian, he took up this mission and guarded the Emerald with his life. 10 years later, Knuckles and consequently Angel Island fell victim to the foils of Dr. Robotnik as his mostly destroyed Death Egg crash landed on the island, forcing it to collide with the ocean below. Though this is mere speculation and the idea of godlike figures creating the emeralds sounds far-fetched, it does explain why the emeralds are as powerful as they seem to be. And as far as Knuckles, he may not actually be the last Echidna, since it's still unknown whether or not some Echidnas have survived throughout time and lived normal lives. Still, The Master Emerald has survived through the ages from cataclysmic events to being used as a power source, but will continue to hold a piece of the planet above the ocean below.